Please be seated. Good morning. My name is Catherine Rand, and I am privileged to serve as the Dean of the School of Law. It is my pleasure to welcome you to the spring commencement ceremony for the University of North Dakota School of Law Class of 2017. Thank you for being here this morning to mark this auspicious occasion and to join us in recognizing the collective achievements of our graduates. Let me begin by introducing the members of the platform party. Kathleen Nezet, Chair of the North Dakota State Board of Higher Education. Mark Kennedy, President of the University of North Dakota. Paul Lebel, our distinguished commencement speaker. Grant McJimsey, Dean of the UND School of Graduate Studies. And Scott Carell, University Registrar. I'd also like to introduce some members of our law school community who will play important roles in this morning's commencement ceremony. Each year, the graduating class selects the Commencement Proctor, who has the honor of reading the name of each graduate as she or he crosses the stage, and the Commencement Hooders, who have the honor of placing an academic hood lined with the colors of the University of North Dakota on each graduate. This year, the class of 2017 selected Bradley Parrish, our Assistant Dean for Student Life, to serve as proctor. Dean Parrish has been part of our graduates' lives since their first year orientation. The class of 2017 also selected to serve as Hooders Professor Michael McInnes and Julia Ernst, who, along with our other faculty, have been teachers, advisors, and mentors to our graduates. Throughout the auditorium today are our commencement ceremony marshals wearing distinctive green robes. The marshals are students selected from our rising second and third year classes based on academic excellence. The Grand Marshal, who will assist in the diploma ceremony later in our program, is Alyssa Wall. During this morning's commencement ceremony, the degree of Juris Doctor will be formally conferred on our graduates. The formality of this centuries-old tradition, the academic regalia of our platform party and graduates, and the pomp and circumstance that surround this morning's ceremony are appropriate to the occasion. This morning, we mark the transition of our graduates from aspiring attorneys to members of the legal profession. We recognize and honor the class of 2017 and their accomplishments, and we acknowledge those who have made the present and future successes of our graduates possible. First, the people who have dedicated their professional careers to the University of North Dakota School of Law, our talented and accomplished faculty, our highly capable staff, and our tireless administrators. From admissions to placement, from orientation to commencement, from administrative law to workers' compensation and everything in between, our faculty and staff are responsible for the excellent program of legal education we offer at the School of Law. And even more, their good and generous spirit ensures that the School of Law is a welcoming and supportive environment for all of our students. I'd like to ask the faculty and staff of the School of Law to stand so that we may acknowledge your role in the success of the class of 2017. And there is another group of people who deserve credit for their role in seeing each of our graduates to and through this day. Over the past 3 years, graduates, each of you has had friends and family, cheerleaders and confidants, shoulders to cry on, and arms to raise you up. Some of those people are here today, and others are with us in spirit. I'd like to ask our graduates to take a moment to hold in your hearts your loved ones who are here in spirit. And many of your loved ones are here in person this morning. Mothers, fathers, grandparents, you have given our graduates roots to keep them firmly grounded and wings to let them soar. Please, parents and grandparents, stand so that we may honor you. Spouses and partners of our graduates, you have given your love and support by choice during this 3-year-long test of your relationship. And the children of our graduates who are so proud of their moms and dads, please, spouses, partners, and kids, stand so that we may honor you as well. The class of 2017 thanks you, and all of us at the School of Law thank you for sharing with us this incredible group of people. We are pleased to have the chair of the State Board of Higher Education, Kathleen Nezet, with us today. A former high school science teacher, a petroleum geologist, president of Nezet Consulting Service, and a hockey player, Ms. Nezet brings vast and varied entrepreneurial experience and business expertise to her role in guiding higher education in our state. I invite Ms. Nezet to the lectern to deliver greetings on behalf of the State Board.
Good morning, President Kennedy and Dean Rand, faculty, staff, parents, family, friends, and most importantly, to the University of North Dakota, class of 2017, School of Law. I bring greetings and congratulations on behalf of the State Board of Higher Education. I thoroughly enjoy this time of year. As board members, there's 8 of us, we get to choose where we want to spend our graduation times, and UND holds a special place for me. I wanted to be here with you, graduates. I wanted to share this day with you. This is a very important day. UND is special to me, and law is very, very important in all of our lives. I don't know how your career path evolved. You may have known from the time you were young, from the time you were small, that you wanted to study law. You may have been able to develop this path as you went through college. That is how my geology degree happened. You couldn't have told me that I would be a geologist in western North Dakota, working in one of the hottest oil plays in the world, when I was sitting in a classroom seat in Washington, New Jersey. The sky is the limit for you. Say yes when those opportunities come to you. Say yes and go for it. Your specialty as you go forward is very important. As you pick your course, you are developing. Every decision will help to develop the tapestry of your lives. You've made choices already. These are good choices. Continue to do what your parents and your faculty have taught you. Do your best and do the right thing. Class of 2017, you are special. You are the success of our University of North Dakota, and you are also the success of the entire university system here in North Dakota. Thank you for selecting UND and trusting us with your education. We appreciate that. I would like to congratulate you. This is a special day. Celebrate the good days. Life is tough. Celebrate the good days with the ones you love. And I would like to give you a heartfelt congratulations and Godspeed. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy, for being with us today. We appreciate the State Board's support of higher education in North Dakota and your support of the next generation of attorneys who will serve our state and our nation. I am so pleased that the class of 2017 has chosen as its commencement speaker Paul Lebel. Paul Lebel came to North Dakota as Dean of UND School of Law in 2004. He was appointed UND's Vice President for Academic Affairs and Provost in 2009, and he retired as Provost in 2013, returning to the law school faculty. And that's where Paul's path crossed with the class of 2017. He taught first-year torts. But this was not an ordinary first year for the class of 2017. Their torts class was not held in the law school building, which in fall 2014 was partially demolished with a huge hole in the ground where we started construction on the new addition. Graduates, each of you came to UND School of Law on faith. You trusted that after your first year, when your classes were taught in Gamble Hall, Leonard Hall briefly, the Education Building, Abbott Hall, Gillette, Whitmer, Merrifield, and the beloved Swanson Basement, you trusted that after that dislocation year, we would move into a new and improved School of Law that fully supported your learning and enhanced rather than undermined your educational experience. And to sustain the trust that brought you to UND during that first challenging year, we needed to demonstrate to you the quality of our legal education program, even as you sat in that Swanson basement hour after hour. As I said, your first year was far from ordinary, and you needed an extraordinary faculty and staff to see you through that year. Paul Labelle was an important part of that, because along with Professor Eric Johnson, who also teaches torts, Professor Labelle is not an ordinary torts professor. He is a bona fide expert in tort and personal injury law. He's taught torts to students like you for decades. He's written a text on products liability, and he's written a book on compensating the victims of drunk drivers. He is an extraordinary professor, and he helped to guide you through an extraordinary year. When we ask these graduates why, out of all possible commencement speakers, they wish to have Paul address their class, their friends, their families on the occasion of their law school graduation, here's what they told me. Paul Labelle was nominated due to the unique perspective he can use to speak to the graduating class. Beyond his high-achieving career in higher education, we selected him as our speaker because of his personal connection to our class. The balance of his distinctive career and personal knowledge of our class make Paul Labelle an ideal choice for graduation speaker. Well said, class of 2017. Please join me in welcoming Dean Emeritus and Professor Emeritus of Law, Paul Lebel to the lectern for his commencement address.
Dean Rand, members of the platform party, my former faculty colleagues whose dedication and learning have brought our graduates to this point in their careers, my friends whose amazing work at the law school supports everything good that gets accomplished, family members and friends of our graduates, and of course, the class of 2017. Look at you, the wandering 1Ls of 2014. From torts at sunrise to diplomas at mid-morning. Well done. And in case no one's told you, you look really good in robes. Smart choice of a career where later on you might get to wear a robe as your day job. It is such a treat to be back with you this morning. I was really overwhelmed by your invitation and your kindness in letting me be part of your celebration. You know how special you are and how difficult it was for me to leave you. I told my wife that this address was a chance for me to give you advice drawn from the entirety of my life that you would remember for the rest of your lives. And she said, yeah, good luck with that. Dean Rand was, as usual, more direct. She said, keep it short and don't cry. Yeah, good luck with that. In 40 years in higher education, as a faculty member at 4 universities, as a dean of a law school twice, as a university provost and vice president, I've had the opportunity to attend a lot of commencement ceremonies. This is the first time I've had the honor and the responsibility of being the person who delivers a commencement address. That's pretty intimidating. And then I realized, hey, this can be really easy. I've been to a lot of commencement ceremonies. All I have to do is draw on all those other speeches and share with you the truly memorable and life-changing passages from 40 years of commencement addresses that I've endured. I mean enjoyed. It says enjoyed. So here they are. That's kind of trite. I don't know what that one means. That one's pretty condescending. Well, I'm pretty sure there was never a time when that would have been an appropriate thing to say. You know, I think drawing on the greatest hits is not going to work very well. The commencement speaker's official code of conduct says I'm obligated to give you at least some advice. Some of you know that my wife and I skipped my law school graduation ceremony 40 years ago and went to the opening of the first Star Wars movie. So the advice I remember from my law school graduation day is, use the Force, Luke. Law school and I were not the best of friends. The school I went to was the UND. It was large, impersonal. It was a lawyer factory in the sun overlooking a lake stocked with alligators. So there's not any advice that I'd carry over from there. And to be honest, some of us spent 2 years together. And if you endured that, you know you're entitled to be skeptical about taking any advice from me. But there is this speaker's code with this requirement, and you know how respectful I am of authority, so I'll give it a shot. Be polite. Some of you are not Canadian. This will be a challenge for you. Understand that not everyone wishes you well. Some of you are Canadian. This will be a challenge for you. Look, I'll admit I don't do advice. I'm a teacher. I do assignments. And I wasn't with you last year, so you missed out on getting some assignments from me. But don't worry, I've got one last assignment for you. It's a take-home assignment, and you've got 40 years to work on it. It's pass-fail, It's self-graded, and it's graded while you're looking in the bathroom mirror, which means you'll be grading it when you're all by yourself, unless I suppose your life is a whole lot more interesting than mine is. Your assignment is to strengthen the infrastructure. And I don't mean roads and bridges and dams and power grids. Although if you do find yourself in a position to pry loose a few $1 trillion, those would not be bad investments. Your assignment is to work on the civic infrastructure, the social and moral fiber that makes us a people. And just to make the assignment more interesting, you're going to have to do it under a condition that I don't think has ever obtained in this country prior to this. You're going to have to do it at a time when facts seem to be fungible with lies. The titles of a couple of recent books are meant to be alarming. The Death of Expertise, The Campaign Against Established Knowledge and Why It Matters. Weaponized Lies, How to Think Critically in the Post-Truth Era. Now, admittedly, experts complaining about the waning influence of experts is not new. In 1963, historian Richard Hofstadter published Anti-Intellectualism in American Life. The age of innocence, when it was thought that anti-intellectualism was a bad thing. I think that the post-truth label that some commentators use is inaccurate. We're not in a post-truth world. We're sliding or melting into a pre-Copernican world. We've gone from an understanding of living in a solar system that is heliocentric to inhabiting a universe that is egocentric. A universe where something is true because I want it to be true, because it's more convenient to me for it to be accepted as true than for me to have to deal honestly with the reality of how things are, and where I'm increasingly likely to go unchallenged in telling you that it's true. What I think has changed since 1963, when Hofstadter published his book, is the escape of an essentially academic observation into the more general conversation. And one of the things that is most alarming to me today is how pervasive the bitterness about the contest between facts and untruths has become among ordinary folks. I'm not an historian of this country, but I suspect that we'd have to go back to the time of the Civil War to find a social divide that was as bitter and as widespread and as personal as what we're living through today. A divide that reaches as deeply into so many families and that ruptures so many friendships. Unfriending someone on Facebook is just the most benign symptom of the metastasis of animosity that has erupted in this country. That animosity can take us to an existential crisis. The risk is that if we're going to be able to come out of this mode of viewing each other as irredeemable opponents, we've got to go through a crisis that blows up the system, either so that something new can be created or so that something old can be renewed. Now, some of you may be sitting there thinking, what have you done, graduation committee? We wanted a commencement speaker to help us celebrate our accomplishment, and instead we got Dudley Downer. No, you didn't. Because I think that renewal has been a recurring phenomenon in our national history, and because I believe in the ultimate resilience of our people. We can bridge the chasms in our society. It won't be tomorrow, it won't be 2018 or 2020, and it won't be without conscious effort and self-discipline and a willingness to make some sacrifice of personal gain for the common good. Why is this relevant to your law school commencement? Each one of you is uniquely positioned to play a pivotal role in that rebuilding of the public infrastructure, because ours is at heart a healing profession. And we are a people in desperate need of healing the lacerations in the social fabric. Commencement speakers customarily tell graduates they can change the world. I want to break this to you gently. You can't. But what you can do is reach out and hold on to someone's hand who reaches out to someone else, who reaches out to someone else, and eventually, with enough of you holding on together and with all of you committed to a worthy goal, you cannot help but change the world. Pope Francis gave a TED Talk last month, and one of the things he talked about was hope. He said, hope is the virtue of a heart that doesn't lock itself into darkness, that doesn't dwell on the past, does not simply get by in the present, but is able to see a tomorrow. Hope is the door that opens into the future. And he went on, a tiny flicker of light that feeds on hope is enough to shatter the shield of darkness. A single individual is enough for hope to exist. And that individual can be you, and then there will be another you, and it turns into an us. To become an integral part of a vibrant us requires two things from you. The first is the humility to reach out, to confess a need to draw on the strengths of others, to offset the limitations of ourselves. And the second is the courage to hang on in the face of a temptation to turn away from the enterprise as the stakes increase and as the opposition becomes more fierce. And what's the worthy goal of that enterprise? Each of you will take an oath when you're admitted to the practice of law. And the subtext of that oath is a commitment to seeing that justice prevails. So the worthiest of goals for our profession is to fight for justice. But I confess I don't know how far that gets us in the conversation. We can all be equally passionate about the concept of justice, but as you know, we may have very different conceptions of what justice is, let alone agreement about what justice requirements, what justice demands in a particular context. So here's my advice. Turn that commitment around. Fight injustice. The French philosopher André Glucksmann said, I cannot tell you what to be for, but I know what to be against. Fight injustice. We must have some shared understandings of what cannot be tolerable. For example, the oppression of the weak and the powerless, the self-centered and the wanton waste of scarce resources, the delight in the humiliation and the degradation of others. We know what to be against. Because of your education and your professional positions, you will be given opportunities to fight injustice, sometimes on a macro level, more often on a micro level. Our country cannot afford for you to shy away from those opportunities. As lawyers, you know you only have one tool, words. And your effectiveness with that tool depends more than anything else on one thing, and that is your reputation. Your reputation for hard work, for integrity, for accuracy, for balance. In the face of the coarsening of public discourse, and despite the sinking of too many members of our profession into the morass of public lies, I continue to believe that ours can be one of the healing professions. When you have an opportunity to mend rather than rend, take that opportunity. When you can be a voice for the silenced, be that voice. When you can take a stand for the invisible, take that stand. A column in the Washington Post earlier this week quoted the Czech playwright and former president Václav Havel, who said this: "The dormant goodwill in people needs to be stirred. People need to hear that it makes sense to behave decently or to help others, to place common interests above their own, to respect the elementary rules of human coexistence." People need to hear that. But even more, they need to see that belief modeled in the behavior of those in positions of power and privilege. Ours is a healing profession, but make no mistake, we are a profession comprised of broken healers. The statistics for lawyers are unsettling. Disproportionate rates of substance abuse, addiction in so many forms, clinical depression, my companion throughout my career. Delta Airlines said one thing, one true thing, during my travel here. It said, "Attach your oxygen mask before you assist others." You need to believe that. The whole seat cushion is a flotation device, not so much. What's the point? You can't help others if you can't breathe. And you can't be there for others unless you are fully there for yourself. And you especially can't be fully there for yourself if you're constantly finding yourself wanting when measured against a false idol of perfection. Perfection is pernicious. It's an unrealistic expectation of others. It's the most unhealthy expectation of ourselves. Remember, you are not alone. You didn't get to this point in your lives by yourselves. Look at the people around you. Look at the people on this stage. As you go forward, you will have people who are willing to be by your side. Nothing that you are going to experience is unique to you. No problem that you are going to encounter hasn't been faced by someone else. No mistake you are going to make hasn't been made by someone else. You are not alone. Don't think you have to do it alone. Be honest with yourself. Be honest with the people who love you. And let the people who love you be honest with you. And here's the final piece of advice. Integrate the person you are with the profession you practice. To Kill a Mockingbird's Atticus Finch was the same person in the courtroom and in the street. He was the same person as a public figure and as a parent. Follow a single moral compass in everything you do. When you stray off course, and all of us do, reach out. There are people to help you. You don't have to do this alone. By virtue of the education that is being formally acknowledged in the conferral of your degree this morning, and in recognition of the knowledge and the skills that you've acquired and will continue to refine, you have both great power and great responsibility. In every single encounter that you have, whether it's standing before a judge, or meeting with a client, or even in the closest setting that we can find today to being in the bar scene from Star Wars, which is Walmart at 2 a.m. In every encounter that you have with another person, people will look to you, and they'll have expectations of you. You'll have the opportunity to be an influence for good in ways that no other person can be. At times, that may seem like a great burden. In reality, it's a wonderful gift. Seize that gift, nurture it, revel in it, cherish it, pass it on. And if you're really fortunate, no, if you're blessed, you'll be given a gift of an experience that you can treasure as much as the gift I was given in the fall of 2014, which is to spend the last 2 years of my professional career with all of you, and now to share in your accomplishment and joy this morning. Be well, be good, and may all the love and blessings of a fulfilling life be yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. You have had an immeasurable impact on the success of North Dakota's law school, and we are truly grateful for all you have done for the School of Law and for our university. And now, we will turn to the formal conferring of the degrees. I'll ask President Kennedy to come to the lectern.
The candidates for the Juris Doctorate degrees in the School of Law will be presented by Dean Catherine Rand.
Will the candidates please rise? President Kennedy, these candidates will have completed all the requirements for the degree of Juris Doctor. I therefore have the honor of presenting them to you for the conferring of this degree.
The candidate for the Master of Business Administration degree is presented by Dean Grant Majimsi.
President Kennedy, as indicated in the program, one of these candidates has completed all of the requirements for the degree of Master of Business Administration in the combined Juris Doctor MBA program. I have the honor of presenting that candidate to you for the conferring of that degree.
Upon the recommendation of the faculty and upon the authority of the North Dakota State Board of Higher Education, I confer upon you a degree of Juris Doctor with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities pertaining thereto. For you who have completed the combined Juris Doctor MBA program, I also confer upon you the Master of Business Administration.
Thank you, President Kennedy. As our proctor, hooders, and grand marshal take their positions, please join me in acknowledging this significant academic achievement of our newest Juris Doctors. Graduates, please be seated. When the candidates marshal indicates to you, please come forward for your hooding and the receipt of your diplomas.
Sarah Ann Auberg. Robin Lynn Onstead. Ian Joshua Arndt. Stephanie Barrows. Mary Ellen Batchelor. Christopher J. Byer. Patricia Castro. Linton Theodore Clark III. Laura Dion Cobb. Edward James Converse. Jeffrey Diemert. Emily A. Donaher. Tyler Noel Edward Erickson. Ephra Essie. Cynthia Estebes. Eliza Lynn Evans. Erin Arlene Ferry. Molly Inga Ficosello. Lindsay K. Forsgren. Bruce D. Govig. Angela Jill Ginkonko. Tyler Zachary Hedin. Ashley Hines. Lexi K. Humberg. Samantha Howard. Maggie Romaine Eland. Sarah Kathleen Calvert Jewell. Kelly Marie Johnson. Chloe Kilwine. Maren Larson. Chase Robert Lingle. Alyssa Lovis. Connor Luke Melvey. L. Marie Mulbert. Catherine Elisa Nicola. Christopher William Nelson. Tyler John Niederwerder. Sarah Norrie. Nathan David Osberger. Brady Sam Pelton. Jenna Ann Polieski. Carissa K. Rush. Michaela M. Reese. Nicholas D. Roller. Walter D. Shaw III. Dustin James Slomud. Brenda K. Sletton. Michael John Sloan. Ethan Thomas Santerre. Rachel Christine Tack. Brittany Inez Thompson. Amanda Tucker. Ethan Ray Vandy Wall. Morgan Lynn Wagner. Harrison Reed Weber. Brittany Megan Weichel. Jonathan F. Yunker. Jack has also successfully completed the requirements for the Master of Business Administration degree.
Thank you, President Kennedy, for doing us the honor of conferring the Juris Doctor degrees on the members of the School of Law class of 2017. Few things are more important to each individual's future success or to our nation's prosperity than education. So said Mark Kennedy when he was a member of the U.S. Congress. Now, as our university's president, Mark Kennedy is all in on higher education. He's leading our university to meet unprecedented challenges in terms of both resources and competition, and he's well equipped to lead us. In addition to his role as a member of the U.S. House of Representatives, President Kennedy is a former senior executive with several corporations, including Macy's, and a past advisor on international trade to Presidents Bush and Obama. Before joining UND, he served as director of George Washington University's Graduate School of Political Management. Most recently, he is the author of a forthcoming book titled Shapeholders: Business Success in the Age of Activism. And just this week, President Kennedy launched his strategic vision for our university, One UND. President Kennedy, we are very glad to have you here, and we are very grateful for your support of North Dakota's law school. Please join me in welcoming President Mark Kennedy.
Thank you, Board Chair Nesset, Dean Rand, Dean Emeritus Lebel, faculty, friends, family, graduates. It was wonderful to hear that you could skip graduation and still be Dean Emeritus by watching Star Wars. Just imagine how far you can go if you both come to your commencement as well as take the lessons of Star Wars. There's lots of good wealth of knowledge there, but I really appreciated the Dean Emeritus's remarks, because we here in America and in Canada, and certainly at the University of North Dakota, revere the law. You are now guardians of that. If you look at our emblem right here in front, it says Lux et Lex, light and law. We embrace the fact to shed light on how the law should be applied, and that is now your responsibility. But as Dean Emeritus Labelle said, we're under a bit of a challenging times during that period. You know, this idea that we all come together and embrace the law cannot be taken for granted. During my time in Congress, I had an opportunity to welcome a grandmother from Iraq to spend a day with me, shadowing me in Congress. And one of the things I did was I took her to a vote. The bells rang, we went to the vote. I went down on the floor, first put her up in the balcony. After I voted, I went up to the balcony to sit beside her. And in the U.S. Congress, your names are all in light. You see the scoreboard. At the end, the lights went out, and she said, "Where'd the lights go?" And I said, "Well, the vote's done. One side won, one side lost. We have our decision. We're moving forward." That concept, the rule of law, is not understood or embraced in the same way in many areas around the world. And we need to think about, how do we spread that? How do we keep that alive? And the division that your commencement speaker spoke of certainly undermines that. I would, in addition to the Lux et Lex, refer you to one other symbol, because as the commencement speaker said, we've always renewed ourselves. Whether you're American or Canadian, I think there's great inspiration to be taken from the U.S. Constitution. It is a century longer than most people's constitutions. During that time that it's been in place, I think France has had 5 constitutions, 2 empires, and 2 monarchs. It's shown the test of time. But to simplify it for those that haven't had the constitutional law class, on the emblem of the United States, there's only one thing written: E pluribus unum, out of many, one. It was appropriate for our speaker to say it's that conceit that we have the only idea, that it has to be our idea or it just doesn't work, that we need to instead join hands with others and figure out how we can bring ideas together how we can come together as one that preserves the rule of law and the faith in it that we need to make sure we're harboring every day. One way you know where that's working is when I took that grandmother from Iraq as the bells were ringing to the floor. We first stopped in front of my office in Washington to take a picture in front of the flags. And while we were taking the picture, that grandmother took the U.S. flag behind her and draped it around her shoulder. Seeing her affection from the flag as we were walking, I quick said to one of my staff, "Can you please get a flag that we can give her that has flown over the Capitol?" And on the way as we rushed to the floor to make it there in time, I stopped and I gave her the flag that was flown over the Capitol during the time of her visit. And she stopped, hugged me, and cried. Somebody that saw the inspiration of what e pluribus unum can do. That is what we need to inspire in ourselves and others from whatever country we hail. Because when we come together and make the law, our law, not my law, your law, but our law, a reality, we have done a great service to our nation, to our world, and that is what you are called to do as graduates of the University of North Dakota Law School. I'm confident that you will act in a way that will continue to make us all one UND proud. Thank you.
Thank you, President Kennedy. And thanks again to Dean Emeritus Paul Lebel and to our other participants in today's ceremony. Before we close, I want to give special thanks to the class of 2017. When you started law school, you arrived on campus just after we had completely moved out of the law school building so we could start construction. Then, for your second and third years, we moved into a beautiful new building on time and on budget. And a few of you joined us as transfer students, trusting that that new building would be there too. And all of you as a class, you were among the first students to benefit from this historic investment in our state's law school. You are the first class that has not experienced the challenges of the old law school building, the cramped and overscheduled classrooms, a library crowded with stacks and stacks of shelving, and one small area for student gathering in the corner of the basement, and no bathrooms in the library. Instead, the majority of your legal education has been in the new and improved UND School of Law, with state-of-the-art classrooms, a library full of student study space, and places throughout for you to talk about the law and life with your classmates, and bathrooms on every floor. Each of you knows just how much the building project transformed our law school, transformed how we learn and how we teach. The new building made a huge difference in your student experience. So thank you, class of 2017, for your patience. Thank you for your faith and your trust. And most of all, thank you for helping to get us where we are today, a new and improved UND School of Law that we are all so proud of. Once again, I thank you for joining us here today. And I offer my own congratulations to our newest School of Law alumni, the class of 2017. We are very proud of each and every one of you, and we can't wait to see what you're going to do next.